Well, Ragnarok must be upon us because we're finally reviewing some monsters.
Today we're going to be going over the Book of Monstrous Kennings, a Norse bestiary. Welcome everyone, I'm Sean, this is Tony, and we're going to be reviewing the Book of Monstrous Kennings, a Norse bestiary by Thieves Can't Game and Evan Jackson.
Now, this is an awesome little thing for all those guys who are out there playing Vahalla right now.
Yeah.
This is actually a really awesome book. This is hitting way up there in the DMsGuild for like one of the top sellers right now, and we just had to do it.
Yeah, it's climbing quite quick. I think there's a lot of like Norse stuff really coming back into full swing with, again, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, God of War, and just in general, there seems to be a lot more stuff related to like Norse mythology, Vikings, and things like that. And you get 40 different monsters here. There's a lot of different stuff that you're going to get out of this.
Each of them almost impossible to pronounce.
Exactly. And guess who's going to be pronouncing it today?
That
Me,
guy.
with no linguistic background. So this is going to be really fun. I hope you enjoy.
All right, let's get into it. All right, so here's the Book of Monstrous Kennings. The artwork in here is amazing, by the way. Everything is just beautiful.
Yeah, there's definitely a really strong consistency among some of the artwork here, which is a really important thing when you are publishing. So this actually looks really, really good. Obviously, we have the wonderful Jorman Gander here on the cover, which we actually will go over in this review today.
How could we not? We absolutely have to go over him as we go through. But first, we're going to go over the
Draugr. Now, Draugr, and again, sorry if I pronounced that miscorrectly, has been seen in a couple different mediums. For me personally, I always think of Skyrim when I see these guys. But essentially, Draugr are these things that rise from the spirits of individuals who are just like very greedy and can't let go of their riches and physical belongings.
Right, and you've got the Gander, which is the spirit itself, and this is the risen body of that. The fact that they're driven by their previous greed is, I love that. You mentioned like a Pirates of the Caribbean thing. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not saying that for anything. it's not that.
Of course.
But I do like the fact that they have a purpose.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the times, NPCs are created just to have like a really nice attack or anything. You'll see a lot of it related to a lot of the different monsters in here. A lot of them have different motivations, and a lot of them do borrow a lot of Norse mythology stuff that already exists in our real world. Now,
the Gander, the first part of that, the kenning for that is aftergoers.
Yeah, so the really cool thing is I want to mention that there are kennings, which are basically kind of like this compound breakdown of the name of the creature. So obviously for these creatures, aftergoers, these are beings that are kind of walking after they've already gone.
Right. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Now, these guys get some pretty awesome attacks and some stuff in there. I mean, they get a multi-attack, they bite, they use their fists, they have a sword. But they also get some interesting stuff like Gravewalker.
Yeah, Gravewalker's pretty interesting. So while in dim, light, or darkness, they can actually hide as a bonus action. They also get shadow stuff, which is kind of similar to like a Misty Step bonus action kind of thing. One thing that I did find interesting is that they actually have turn immunity. Now, typically when we think of undead, we stick our cleric up in the front and we force him to take out his little, holy symbol and do that nice little channel divinity. Does not work here. Draugr are immune to the effects that turn undead, so very tricky little guy. Yeah, and this is more of the thing I like about this is normally when you look at D&D zombies with stuff, you see hordes of them. Like we're so accustomed to the zombie hordes. This is just one really badass zombie. Yeah, I mean, sitting at a CR9, you can put this at a pretty low level party, and he can pretty much wreck a lot of them. So I mean, it's 180 health at 16 armor class. It's tough. Yeah. But I love this thing, so it's really, really great. Now, the next one, the only way I can describe it is... Yeah, so again, this one's really cool. This is the Brunmigi. And this one is a really very interesting kenning. This is the Well Pisser. Now, besides being a little, funny, it actually relates to the fact that this creature kind of goes around targeting vital resources of a community to kind of like actually break it down and ruin them. Definitely sounds like a Well Pisser to me. Yeah, definitely. But it's, I really like the fact that they incorporate all these things into the background of these monsters. I think this is really awesome to actually have that lore, but it's because it's so seated in actual Norse lore. Exactly, and I think it kind of goes a long way. In case you kind of want to borrow one of these creatures for your own homebrew campaign, you get a little bit of inspiration in case you're trying to find a way to include a Draugr or a Brunmigi into your campaign. At least you have a little bit of help here. Now, the thing about this guy is he's big, but he is
fast.
Yeah.
We're talking 50 regular speed and the ability to cunning action dash.
Yeah. So it's pretty crazy. At first glance, I was a little underwhelmed, but honestly, the fact that it has a base speed of 50, it could cunning action for another 50, and you could even use an action to move another 50. It is a very fast creature, but also if you don't want to move 150 feet in one turn, you can, move 100 and do some really nasty bite or claw attacks, or it also has this really poisonous venom spray.
Right. With a multi-attack on that thing, it makes 3 attacks. It makes 1 bite and 2 with its claws. Each of those has a +7 to hit.
Yeah.
This thing is going to come at you like a rabid Wolverine.
Yeah.
The size of, it's a large monstrosity, so the size of my desk maybe.
Yeah, probably a lot bigger. Yeah.
But then you've got that venom spray. It can, on a recharge 6, it can literally poison you.
It's a pretty awesome, nice hit and run kind of encounter creature.
Yeah, you don't want to run into these in the woods. I'll tell you what. Speaking of things you don't want to run into on a bad day.
Yes. So we are taking a look at the creature that you saw on the cover of the supplement, which is Jorman Gander. You may have seen this creature from a lot of different things. I remember this is one of my favorite things from God of War when I first played through it, was the world serpent kind of looming over you. Gigantic creature. We're talking something very much endgame, sitting at a CR 26.
Yeah.
This creature appears during Ragnarok, which is kind of like the end of days. And let's go ahead and take a look at his stat block.
Is he coming soon? I feel like he should be coming soon.
It seems very timely, honestly.
Yeah, it does. But this thing, it reminds me so much of Mother. We talked about Mother.
Yes.
But this is tougher than Mother. Mother was the
Mother Terras.
The Mother Terras that we reviewed.
And speaking of Mother...
Mythic Encounters.
Speaking of that, we actually get to see Jorman Gander as a Mythic Encounter. And again, for those who need a refresher, it's essentially a modified version of a creature to kind of add a bit more oomph to their attacks or something to, give them a little bit more of a fight.
Right.
Most importantly here is the fact that it's, besides CR26, it has this ability called Venom Sex, which kind of is similar to the way that Mother operated, but here, when it actually goes to 0 hit points, it is not dead yet. It doesn't even go unconscious. It kind of erupts these 4 venomous sacs that each have 100 hit points, 22 AC, and you have to actually destroy all 4 until Jorman Gander falls down.
Now you've got... Oh, Jorman Gander fell down. You've got 22 armor class on this thing to start, 409 hit points. It's got insane 80-foot swim speed.
Don't fight it in the water if you can't help it, but you probably will.
Its saving throws are +18, +17, +14. It is resistances to pretty much everything. Immunities to anything that's not a magical weapon.
Yeah.
It is definitely tough. And then you have to deal with its sacs all over again.
Pretty much. Even in the description, it says it's like fighting a CR26 character twice. Considering that the sacs have a lot of health, you got a lot of AC, and not to mention, because Jorman Gander is not down, it's still fighting you.
Yeah, and the legendary actions are kind of nice too, because they got that. He has that poison cloud and the rampage with that.
Yeah,
so
which
if
is
he's taking out people, that is horrible.
Yeah. Not to mention, like any other large creature, it can eat your party up. So it's a really awesome, if you kind of want to go off of the typical dragon or Tarrasque, definitely consider using Jorman Gander.
Yeah. Now there's a couple others we want to look at, and of course we can't do Norse mythology without the Valkyrie. You
really can't. Valkyries have existed in lots of different mediums, and they're your very typical heroic warrior that we've seen in a lot of Norse mythology. And here it's no exception. It's interesting though, because they're not, at least the one we're going to be looking at, is not like a super high CR, but they have some very interesting features to make it flavored towards being a Valkyrie.
Right. And of course, obviously that's going to start with them having a Pegasus themselves. They do get Indomitable, which is, that's good. I mean, a lot of our warriors have that.
Of course.
That's not bad. Spell casting with it, magic resistance, but they get a mount. They get a Pegasus mount.
Yeah, and it's very special because while they do get a mount, they don't even have to be next to the mount to actually hop onto it. They can actually go ahead and just instantly teleport to the mount as a bonus action, and a Pegasus is pretty fast. It's sitting typically at 80 fly speed, so once they get on that mount, they're going to be very hard to catch up to.
Now, on top of that, they get a multi-attack. They hit you with that spear. They really come at you with that spear. With the 2 attacks, +9 to hit, really hard hitting. But What happens if they slay you, Sean?
Yeah, exactly. So I think one of the more interesting features of this Valkyrie, it's kind of like reflavoring necromancy without looking like necromancy.
That's true.
It has this ability called Choose the Slain. So basically the Valkyrie targets a humanoid within 10 feet of it that has been dead for no longer than 1 minute and died bravely. Very important details to, again, kind of reflavor this for the Valkyrie.
Who judges the bravery?
That's a good question. I would hope the DM.
If a gnome runs up to a Valkyrie, sticks his tongue out, I think that's brave.
And you know what? They would probably be a target of this ability.
Does the Valkyrie decide?
Possibly. However you decide how to do it, essentially the Valkyrie actually brings back the dead body as a warrior, and it actually now fights for the Valkyrie.
Now, this Valkyrie also has legendary actions where she can command that ally. So if, slain party member, he was brave, now he fights for her.
Yeah.
But she can also 1-2 punch with that flying horse of hers.
Yeah, so Coordinated Assault, which costs 2 legendary actions, basically the Valkyrie makes her own attack, and then they can choose the mount, and it makes its own attack as its reaction. So it has a lot of these abilities where it can add allies, and it can have those allies make additional attacks even when it's not the Valkyrie's turn.
She's definitely a formidable opponent.
Yes. Now, the last one we're going to be looking at, we've been looking at all these epic monsters, these epic creatures that are going to be imposing threats. We didn't want to leave you off without a possible ally or friend to join you on your journey through these Norse mythology creatures. So we're going to be looking at the Aborter.
The lighter side of things.
Yeah, yes, literally too.
Yeah. So what are the Vorder?
The Vorder is, honestly, it's kind of the D&D equivalent of having a Navi around. They are basically these guardian spirits that can watch over others for many different reasons. Maybe you did something heroic, or you promised to help it out in some way. But essentially, these celestials are kind of there to assist the living. And again, they're not actually really strong. I mean, they're CR 1/4. They only have 5 hit points with like AC of 11, but they're not really there to help you out in combat necessarily.
But they have that variable illumination. They could save you the having to cast the light cantrip.
Yes.
And they could shut it off.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, they instantly switch the light off there.
That's clappin', right? KL.
Yes, that's right.
P-N, clappin'.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, it kind of has a little bit of light there to kind of assist you. It can turn invisible. It has limited telepathy, so you can actually, have it communicate with you, through telepathic means. But again, I think the reason why we kind of end off on this one to kind of, let you guys know that you do have other options besides horrible, horrible creatures, but also you can find friends in this nice little PDF here.
Now, there are 40 different monsters in this book.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot. We went over 5. There are tons of things that you guys can pick out of this book. Definitely go and pick this one up. You can find it on the DM's Guild. Again, that's Book of Monstrous Kennings, a Norse bestiary.
Yes, not to mention there's even a new race option and a couple little magic items sprinkled in there to kind of add on to that. But again, I think the really cool thing is that definitely the authors and the creators did a lot of research when it came to creating these creatures to convert them over into D&D. A lot of the time we're going to find things that we've seen in video games, movies, books, and everything like that, that maybe we think it would be really cool to fit in this realm of what we're playing in. And this is a great example of how you can do that.
Right. Now, we've got a lot of things coming up here in the next month. But if you like what we're doing and approve of what we're doing, and even if you don't approve, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I always get this wrong. The subscribe button down here. It's over here. See, it's over there. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell if you want to get up to date on all the videos that we're posting out here in this current year of 2021.
Yes, exactly. And remember, the best campaigns are always the ones that you homebrew. So until next time, keep brewing.